Eddie Hearn, welcome to Australia. How many people have asked you for a favour?
I know. Well, after I put out that I was in Toowoomba today, my Instagram's gone a bit mad, but first time in Australia. So just learning, really, to be honest with you. Just meeting everybody, getting ready. September will be our first show here, so just planning and finalising and looking forward to Wednesday night's fight as well. I think it's a good fight. So luckily, I found out there was a show here as well when I was coming. So just like I said, just learning, meeting everybody and getting ready. It's going to be an important market for us. So getting ready for September.
Excellent. Obviously, the weather's showing up for you, but how have you found the climate and the domestic scene for Australian boxing?
I think that you're very similar to us, right? You love your sport like a beer. You like your fights. So I think we're going to get on just fine. I've been watching from afar the growth of Australian boxing, which is ultimately a show every week. And also, not just saying it because I'm here, the work that the promoters are putting in is slick. You know, I think No Limits are doing a great job. Tasman Fighters, you've got Angela, of course, who we do a lot of work with, and meeting everybody. I think people have got a good understanding of what people want. Learning all the time about the pay-per-view market, the subscription market, the free-to-air market. I think, you know, if I'm looking from the outside in, sometimes you're limiting your audience by the pay-per-view, but ultimately it's the model that the broadcaster wants and works for the broadcaster. Like Wednesday night, you got a great fight, really good domestic fight that almost feels like it should be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. And is that how you grow the sport? Well, yes, but if this is the model the broadcasters want, you have to go there. Obviously, DAZN, slightly different model, much cheaper, but you know, just learning and understanding and been really impressed by the volume of shows that I've seen over here.
You've got some great stock over there that it's Australian at the moment. Obviously, Ebony getting the world title, Sky doing amazing things. You must be happy with the girls.
Yeah, really good. I mean, Ebony's sort of come from nowhere, if you like. Jumped into a world title fight with Shannon Courtney, gave a great account of herself, but really improved. You know, to beat Roman like she did was a very, very good performance. And she goes on now. She's built a huge fan base in the UK. She'll defend that title and I think unify. Sky has just got off to a flyer. Built fan bases in the UK, the US, and of course over here as well. And she's a big part of our plans for our September show. But you know, really pleased with the growth of women's boxing, and I think you're seeing that here as well. Not just with our fighters, but obviously, you know, Taylor Robertson, Beck Hawker, I've seen going well, and you know, Shan O'Connell, Shanika Johnson winning a world title as well. So I think women's boxing globally, doesn't matter where it is just continuing to grow. But Ebony and Sky, two big stars.
It's always been imperative that Australians are ready when they venture out onto the world scene. With Australian boxing exploding even through a 2-year pandemic, is it even more underlined now that we're ready and to make the most of our opportunities when we do get on those big stages and under those bright lights?
Yeah, I think that it's difficult to bring in the opposition to Australia because one, it's a long way away. Two, the cost of flying people over is extreme. And I think a lot of these fighters, you know, Liam's a good example of that. You know, Stevie Sparkle I was with today, all these guys, like there isn't a lot of domestic opposition. So you have to bring in international fighters or you have to travel. Also, for the top guys, training is difficult. The volume of sparring, the quality of sparring, and that's why you're seeing people literally move their lives, like Ebony, like Sky, like Dempsey, just literally flying to the UK and saying, the only way I can prepare like a world-class fighter is to base myself here. But I think that will change. It's really important that not just the investments made into grassroots boxing, but the popularity of boxing as a sport continues so that there's a conveyor belt of talent coming through. Like if you look at, and it all comes really from the amateur system. So you need to look at your amateur teams and see what fighters are next. You know, if I look at it from a female perspective, Caitlin Parker, I think is probably one of the standouts there. He's saying, well, she's almost ready to turn pro. From the men's side, is there enough talent coming through? Well, you need to see that. And, you know, you saw with, obviously, Tim Zhu a while ago, but Nikita Zhu looks like a great talent. Harry Garside coming through now. But there's really good young kids in pockets, like Jake Wiley, for example. Dylan Briggs. You know, these are really good fighters, but they need the opportunity and they need the environment to be elite athletes. You can't just be stuck in a gym somewhere in the middle of nowhere, not getting any quality sparring, not learning, fighting on small hall shows against weak opposition domestically because no one wants to fight you or can't really afford to fly people in. So it's hard to be developed in the right way, and hopefully we can sign some of that good young talent and give them the opportunity to box around the world and actually see if they can become great fighters.
Big fight coming up in September, obviously, Liam Paro and Brock Jarvis.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this?
Unofficial, but starting to be a bad kept secret. Trying to get this fight finalised and announced this week. I love it because it's 22-0 against 20-0. It's Angelo and those guys and Jeff Fennick. And the story's quite funny because I said to Angelo, look, I think we should do Liam Paro's #1 in the world. He's got the world title fight ready to go. But till Josh Taylor moves, he's stuck. So let's fight. So he said, okay. So I said, you know, Brock's a guy who's at super feather, but really he's massive. I mean, they talk about going to lightweight. I don't know if he can make lightweight now. So he wants to move to 140. You've got 22-0 against 20-0. Angelo and those guys said, look, we're friends with Jeff, family friends. They won't take the fight. Jeff Fennick came back and said, we love the fight, we'll take it. So it's pissed everybody off, right? And now, wait till you see the press conference. We're going to get these family friends falling right out for this fight. But it's what you want. You know, that's a really good fight. And, you know, we've made a nice offer to Lucas Brown to fight Dempsey. Again, coming off his win, it's a good fight. Sky will be in her first title fight on the card. And then all these other fighters who we're talking to, you know, Stevie Spark, Jacob Ng, Ben Marnie, like all these guys, let's have a war. You want your opportunity on a big TV because I'm going to make this card 7 or 8 fights, like brilliant all-action fights, because that's how we'd be judged. So we know that there aren't the marquee stadium fights in Australia, but to keep the growth going and make noise, you've got to make great, particularly all-Australian fights.
Speaking of all Australian fights, Justice Hooney, Joe Goodall, what do you think of that?
I think it's a really good fight. I've watched both, but I don't know a huge amount of both. If I'm looking at, you know, I don't like Goodall's inactivity over the period, but Hooney's not been overly active. But if I'm looking at the body language, if I'm just having a punt, if I'm looking with my heart, I'm going to say that Goodall's going to win the fight. But I'm going as a fan, which I'm quite excited about, really, because I think it's a really good fight. But I do rate Justice Hooney, but I've just got a sneaky feeling for Goodall.
Heart of a businessman and the heart of a Gemini. Yeah. Quick fire questions just to let the people know. Do you sing in the shower?
No, but I sing everywhere else, just not in the shower.
Dream car?
I would Bugatti Veyron or a Lamborghini, but I can't fit in either. I can buy them, but I can't fit in them. That's the problem.
Favourite food?
It's pizza. You know, I reckon I've put on 4 or 5 kilos since I've been in Brisbane. The food's great. I'm going to go Indian, actually.
And favourite Guy Ritchie film?
Oh, Lock, Stock, definitely. Or Layer Cake. Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels, or Layer Cake. You looked at me a bit strange then.
Well, I'm a rock and roller and gentleman fan.
No. Layer Cake's a great film. Great film.
Eddie Hearn, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.